Welcome back to Delivering More, folks. I'm your host, Ben Alkire. Thank you so much for tuning in morning, afternoon, and evening. We appreciate it. As always, if you could, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That's going to help us out more than you could ever know. I have an amazing show to bring to you folks today. I have a tandem of guests. I have Sabrina Jenkins, Director of Catering, and Jeff Camus, VP of Media and Public Relations from PDQ. Thank you both for joining me so much today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Ben.
Awesome. If I like to kind of get a little background. Obviously, this is our first time meeting as a collective here, so get a little rundown of your guys' history, and then we can kind of roll into the PDQ and catering aspect of the show. I want to start with Sabrina here. You started your time, it looks like, in the restaurant industry with PDQ as a catering sales manager, and then worked your way back, spending some time at Bole's, Director of Catering, and Raw Juice. What was your first experience in the restaurant industry? Did you grow up as a server, dishwasher, or anything like that?
I did. Yeah, I started in the industry when I was 15 as my first job as a hostess at a small hole-in-the-wall restaurant, and just kind of worked my way up from there, became a server, got involved with PDQ back in 2013 and fell in love with the brand. So I think I jumped in right at a great time. We were in a rapid growth phase, and I had the opportunity to be able to grow with the company, and here I am today, full circle. I absolutely love it, and I get to meet our guests where they live, work, and play, and cater to all of our offices outside.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. And then Jeff, for you, I had a little background on you. I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I do just want to throw it out there. My dad's side of the family is West Virginia, born and raised, so I'm not a huge fan of where you went to college. We'll guide past that, though. University of Pittsburgh, graduated in '94. Spent some time at University of Florida, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now the media and PR head at PDQ. What about you? Did you spend time in restaurants growing up, or how'd you work your way into the food industry?
Sure. Yeah. So I won't hold that against you and all the West Virginia fans out there, but we like them too. It's okay. But yeah, no, I grew up in South Jersey outside Philadelphia, and definitely got involved in sports and did a lot there. I think probably my introduction to the food would be through one of my first jobs working at a movie theater. I actually was in charge of making popcorn and working the concession stand and then cleaning the theater. So I definitely got a little start early in that regard, but had an opportunity through sports to get introduced to Bob Basham and Nick Reeder, the two founders of PDQ, and worked with Nick at the Buccaneers for many years and got to spend some time with Bob. And when they started this concept, as you mentioned, back in 2011, had an opportunity to come on board and start helping with some of the PR and marketing efforts. And, really, like Sabrina said, fell in love with the concept, fell in love with the food, and been fortunate to be part of kind of our growth over these last 12 years. And been exciting. And, I know we'll talk about locations and where we've come, but certainly Tampa was a great place for us to kind of launch it, and some of the relationships here and now beyond what we're doing with Sabrina in South Florida and beyond those locations.
Yeah, amazing backstory. I did want to kind of jump right into that as far as PDQ. We're starting out at a restaurant called Tenders in North Carolina. The two founders, I think, is it Bob and Nick? Is that what you said the founders' names were?
Yeah. Yep. So Bob Basham, who was one of the founders of Outback Steakhouse, which also started here in Tampa. And then Nick Reeder was the youngest CFO in the National Football League. So he was with us at the Bucs, and then they came together. And yeah, I think for them, they were really looking at starting a concept that really was focused on families and hospitality and great food. And for Nick, he's got 3 boys. Him and his wife have 3 boys. And, where do they take the kids after, football practice or baseball practice? And a great place with a drive-through where you'd really feel good about serving that for your family. And so as they were talking about that, they ended up in North Carolina. Tenders is located in Cornelius, which is just outside Charlotte, and, came upon this concept, loved what they were doing, loved how they handled hand breading tenders and the signature sauces and everything on the menu. And they took that concept and created PDQ out of it. So that really was the vision. And that's where it started, was Tenders. And what's really cool about it is Tenders still exists. So Tenders is still there, still part of our concept. It's still called Tenders. We'll never change the name because everyone up there loves it, but it really has become a PDQ and everyone knows it now. And it's the same menu that we have at the other 62 locations of PDQ, but it's part of our family. And it really is the reason and the starting point for this concept began, on that 2-lane road in Cornelius.
Yeah, unbelievable. I was amazed when I saw that on the website. I love that you guys feature that story on your website and everything. It was nice, easy to find a little softball there. And then I just wanted to say for Sabrina here, the Florida market, you guys are based in Tampa. I see you guys are kind of been working your way slowly up the East Coast. Maybe I think you guys are in Jersey nowadays and things like that. How important is that Florida market for you guys and keeping the foothold down there?
I would say it's definitely like our bread and butter. We are very heavily saturated in the Tampa market, where Jeff is. And then here in South Florida, we have stores from Miami all the way up to the Palm Beaches, as far, north as Central Florida, Orlando. So we have a really broad reach and our guests love it. We have the opportunity to be able to meet our guest expectations outside of our four walls, which is what I love to do, through our catering and, off-premise events and things like that. And there's always things happening in South Florida. So that's definitely the beauty of Florida is, we've got the sunshine, there's a ton of outdoor activities. So for our brand, we're very invested in the community. So being able to get out of our four walls and, go and meet our guests and go to a park or little league tournaments and things like that and bring PDQ out there. It's really a unique opportunity. I think it sets us apart from the other brands.
Yeah, amazing. We will get to the outside of the four walls as well here in a little bit. I appreciate you mentioning that. I wanted to bounce it back to Jeff here a little bit. As far as the background of PDQ, you spent some time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as well as you mentioned one of the co-founders. PDQ is the official chicken tender of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I just wanted to maybe ask a little fun question here. Did we have any involvement in recruiting Tom Brady? Did we feel we were responsible for bringing the Super Bowl back to Tampa? How did all that interaction play out? I'm sure that was great for business as that was all going on.
Yeah. So yes to all of that, of course. We've been involved with the team now from the PDQ side for about 4 seasons. And yeah, we are the official chicken tender of the Buccaneers. And it's been a great partnership. And it's one of a couple sports partnerships that we do have. In addition to them, we've been with the Tampa Bay Lightning now for about 10 years. And you may recall they've won, I think, 2 Stanley Cups in the last 3 years. So had some success there. The Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh, and then also the Orlando Magic, which are big time on the upswing here in Florida as well. But it's been a great relationship. And, it's a big part of what we do is when you think about catering, the opportunity to work with sports teams has been a part of our brand since day one. And so we do a lot with them. Yes, Tom Brady has had our food, and definitely that Super Bowl year, the team ate PDQ a lot during that season, not only after home games, but we did a lot with them when they traveled on the road trips. They would get food and get on the plane with PDQ. And I think it's just a great opportunity to really connect with their fans. And that's what all of our sports partnerships, in all 4 examples, we have concession stands in each of their stadiums or arenas. So it's just a great way to introduce the food. Obviously, as Sabrina said, a lot of people in Florida have known us now for 12 years. That's a fun thing about the brand is you start to see even kids that grew up on PDQ that are now in college or beyond that remember PDQ when they were growing up and have kind of started that cycle of their life and their families. And again, the arenas and stadiums, you're getting a chance to have that food in that environment, to be able to try different things on the menu and really get the introduction to the brand. And certainly from a marketing standpoint, it's great too, because we can make that connection, not just with fans, but also with the players, with the coaches and the entire organization. And so we love those partnerships. They've all been great teams to work with. And yeah, I think you're right. I think the success definitely has had something to do with PDQ because those teams have won and won a bunch of championships since we've been part of it for sure.
Yeah, it must be some great chicken. I did want to ask, are you guys, do you have concession locations in all those partnerships as well? Or are those spread out throughout Florida? Are there smaller market concessions as well, like smaller stadiums and things like that? Where are all those located?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll start with Tampa. So with the Buccaneers, we have 4 concession stands in Raymond James Stadium. 2 are on the main concourse, and then we just added last season 2 on each of the club levels. So we're pretty much hitting most fans at the stadium. For the Tampa Bay Lightning and Amalie Arena, we've got 2, one on the main level and also one on the upper level at Amalie. And then for the Orlando Magic, we've got 1 concession stand there on the main concourse, and then in Raleigh with the Hurricanes, 1 as well. We do have some other things that we do. We do have a lot of other sports partnerships where we do things with different colleges, other pro teams, not only with feeding the teams, but also with different things through their events. So I know for Sabrina, she works with several of the colleges in South Florida, where we've got opportunities where we may be involved with not only with the teams and the coaches, but also in events. So featuring our food or featuring marketing assets through, football games and basketball games and other teams. So yeah, it's a great opportunity, and it's just another way to connect. And the last thing I'll say about that is it's been a big part of our brand since day one, is really connecting to the community. And for us, it's not only about the teams and the players, it's also guests and people that live and work in those areas. So we love it. It's been great, and we'll really continue that partnerships.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing aspect that you guys have delved into. Just being able to, like you said, bring that concept outside the 4 walls, introduce it to new consumers. They're going to a Tampa Bay. I mean, I could go down to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, and that could be the first time I have PDQ. I've never had it before. I could try it right then and there. So I love that. I love that about you guys. And I did want to ask Sabrina. I think the first time I was introduced to you was through LinkedIn, and as you mentioned, you're going to all these off-site events. Football games, market, like maybe some markets, things like that. How important and how fun is that for you to hold those events and be able to feed all those people? I know when I go out and I'm on deliveries, just seeing the reactions from these customers, knowing that you're bringing them a great product, feeding them, everyone's having a great time. The PDQ brand is so involved with such good memories for, children through adults. How important is that for you? And I imagine it's just a fun thing to get to do all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Fun would be the first part for sure. It's something that I fell in love with right out of the gate. Actually, when I got with the brand, was being able to get involved in that grassroots marketing side of it. We were still very new to South Florida at that time. So getting out into the community and really spreading the word about who we are and, what PDQ has to offer was a ton of fun, and being able to engage with guests in that way. And then now, as we've evolved and we have several locations all over South Florida, we are, building that brand awareness. Guests know us a lot more, but then we constantly are interacting with new guests that are, maybe haven't heard of PDQ or haven't had the opportunity to try us. So when we're able to get out there and do these community events, whether it be a golf tournament or, just a simple sampling or a food and wine festival, that could be that guest's first time being able to try one of our tenders, and they fall in love, and from there, we're just driving traffic back into the restaurant or building those relationships for future catering orders potentially. So it's definitely a 4-prong approach, I think, getting out there and being able to engage with our community. So
Yeah.
I've dragged my kids along to a few events. So my daughter just turned 10 actually, and she's grown up in the brand from day one because she was born in 2013. So she's a diehard PDQ fan now, and they've got every party we have to have PDQ at. So.
Yeah, hey, family business. Always good to keep things within the family. That's amazing. And I did want to mention, obviously, bringing this concept out to consumers and getting new eyeballs on the product all the time is super important, especially when we're working within this world-renowned chicken sandwich wars, the chicken wars that everyone's been talking about the last couple of years. We don't need to go and mention all the competitors. Obviously, we're here to talk about PDQ, but you guys were recently announced as number 250, I believe, out of 500 in the Technomic Top 500 chain restaurant brands. So amazing. I applaud you guys on that. I believe Jeff mentioned here just before we started, you're at 62 locations. What exactly are you guys finding on your end that you guys are able to differentiate from just a regular chicken product? Is it the experience? Is it being able to bring the product out to consumers like you're saying? And how do you think you guys stack up to the competition?
Yeah, so I'll jump in on that. So I think, we always like to say that we have a tender loving approach to everything we do, and that falls through also to our sandwiches. And we're proud of our chicken sandwiches. Just one example is in Tampa here, we're 5-time defending champion of best chicken sandwich in Tampa Bay, and we've won numerous other awards throughout the last 12 years. And so we feel like the guests are telling us how they feel with their voting, right? By telling us how good it is. But I think it's all the things you mentioned. I think it's not only the preparation in terms of, that we hand bread everything, the tenders, the sandwiches in-house, just everything we do with the signature sauces, really everything from a brand perspective is all about quality. And that's in our name, right? We stand for, PDQ stands for people dedicated to quality. And that really resonates throughout the brand in every decision we make and everything that we do. And I think not only is the food obviously a huge driver for guests, that they love the food and especially the sandwiches, but also that experience. And that's where Sabrina and her team do such an incredible job. Is it's not just about the food. Obviously, you make decisions, of course, of things that are good and you want to enjoy, but also that experience and the level of service and hospitality that you receive is a big part of it. And that's been another piece that we've heard such great feedback, and we feel like that is a huge differentiator for us as a brand.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. That probably should have been my first question, what PDQ stands for, people dedicated to quality. I'm very appreciative that you brought that up. And I love that, the tender love and care mantra that you guys mentioned there. I just wanted to ask quickly here, you're mentioning all these sauces and things that are included on your guys' menus. Do you two specifically have a favorite menu item at PDQ?
I'll let Sabrina go first.
Absolutely. I feel like you can't go wrong with our salads. They're so versatile. Everything is made to order, which is another, part of our brand that sets us apart. You can have it your way. So I love our PDQ salad. I get the tenders tossed in Buffy blue, and I typically get like blue cheese to go with it. So nice, like buffalo chicken salad, a little spicy, a little savory. So that's my go-to for sure.
And then for me, so yes, I love our tenders, and that's definitely the star of the show, and I love them. But I'd say probably my favorite, that my go-to would be our honey butter sandwich. It just kind of, it's an amazing flavor with the butter and the honey, and then obviously the chicken on there. And then my favorite sauce, which we always like to talk about our sauces, our PDQ sauce. It's fairly new. It's just a couple years old, but it's just a great flavor as well, and is great not only on sandwiches, but it's also really good to dip your fries in or tenders in as well.
Is that PDQ sauce like a secret ingredient type thing that we can't reveal what's in it?
No, it's definitely not secret. I guess I'd say it's got a little bit of like tangy flavored, almost like a horseradish base. So it's got a little kick to it, but I'm not a big spicy person, and I definitely don't think it's spicy. It just has such great flavor, and people love it. And it's actually now with our sandwiches, it's what's on our sandwiches now. And obviously, like Sabrina said, you can get any sauce you want on a sandwich or with your tenders, but it does have a great flavor that does match really well, not only with the tenders, but also with the sandwiches as well.
Amazing. Yeah, Sabrina, I'm a huge buffalo and blue cheese person, so that was making my mouth water over here. That was right up my alley. I did kind of talk about what we all do here as a whole. Obviously, DeliverThat, we're a catering delivery service. Sabrina is the director of catering. So if we could kind of move forward here to talk about the catering development you guys have, as well as some topics on the drivers. I just want to start out here as far as experience that customers are going to have with your catering, and then our drivers as well. What would you want the end experience to be for that consumer and that driver? Obviously, you want everything to go as well and as seamless as possible, but is there something specific that you guys want to be remembered for, something specific that you guys would like to have happen in every experience, things along that line?
Absolutely. I think we really try to go above and beyond meeting our guest expectations, whether it be from the packaging or the products themselves, of course. Once someone bites into one of our sandwiches or the tenders, the food speaks for itself and you fall in love from there. But ensuring that that delivery process, if it's a delivery or the pickup, is as seamless as possible is a huge component to giving our guests the best possible catering experience. So partnering with DeliverThat, for deliveries and ensuring that those drivers are taking as much care and tender love and care, as Jeff said, into delivering to our guests as our team members would, is very important. And you guys have done a phenomenal job with that. So we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you back. I really appreciate you mentioning us in there. I know I've seen pictures that you've posted on LinkedIn and such of like little box lunches. Is that typically how your guys' caterings are going to travel? Is a full setup something you guys are ever doing, like racks and sternos, or is it typically a drop and go? What's the setup process typically like with a delivery for PDQ?
Yeah, so racks and sternos, not so much. That's it's not really necessary with our products. Actually, they travel really well. And then we do have, two different options. Essentially, our box lunches are great for grab and go. And over, the last few years, of course, things have changed. We've pivoted a little bit to meet our guests, needs. And having those individual box meals are great, whether it be with our collegiate teams or to Jeff's point, our NFL partnerships, a lot of those relationships, they love the box lunch because it's simple. It's got everything in there. You grab and you go. But then we also have our platters, which are great for group gatherings or birthday parties, maybe a nice luncheon, to impress some of your superiors or things like that. So in that aspect, we're able to really lay out the food, and we do ask that the drivers take a little time to spread the food out for our guests so that way they can go and prepare their plates as we would want them to.
And I guess, over the past couple of years, obviously everyone, pretty much every brand around had to revamp how they were offering, what their product looked like, whether it traveled well or not. How different was your guys' catering operation 3-4 years ago to what it is now? Is it completely different? Is it, there are a couple of major changes you guys made, or how'd you feel about, coming out of a pandemic and the offerings you guys have now?
Yeah, I would say we didn't have to really change too drastically. We made some minor tweaks to be able to fulfill the needs of what a lot of guests needed through that time, which was, the individually portioned sauces or dressings, and having those box lunches readily available. They became a very, very popular item for us, and they still are today. So now we're kind of coming back to being able to offer the bulk sauces and the bulk dressings, where guests feel more comfortable kind of going and being able to have those open containers. But, we give the guests the option. So it's, everything's made to order, as I mentioned, so they can do individual or have that bulk, buffet style offering.
Hell yeah. And then Jeff, I guess for you, obviously, being the media and PR wing of this thing, how important is it for you guys to market to these consumers and make sure they understand they can have your product off premise? Is that obviously a huge undertaking, and making sure, people understand, hey, like Sabrina mentioned, you can do platters, you can do boxed lunches. Is there a huge undertaking in making sure you have a shorter menu or anything like that to make this product, more consumable?
Yeah, no, great question. I think it is important to kind of communicate that. And I think Sabrina hit on it earlier, is that really meeting the guests where they want to be. And as you mentioned, a lot has changed in our world over the last few years, which really is in some ways a good thing in the sense of giving more opportunities and more ways to serve the guests. And you brought up box lunches as a great example. And that was certainly something during the pandemic that we saw more of, because of the fact that you didn't want to have that situation where people are grabbing, a platter where they may touch each other's food, things like that. So that certainly has been a part of it. But you're right, we do have a lot of different options, and that's a really big part of it when we have conversations and work closely with Sabrina and Kelly Nace, who does a great job in the Tampa market, is really thinking through what are the things that they're hearing. So it's a lot of feedback, not only from Sabrina and Kelly, but also from our guests and what they're telling us. And then that helps us kind of really look at the marketing strategy. And to your point, what decisions are we going to make of how we're going to market it, so that it's not us sitting in a room in Tampa or South Florida or anywhere else and making decisions. Let's actually listen to the guests and find out what they need. And then from there, we can provide that. And to your point, really do a good job of explaining and being informative about what offerings we have and how we can work directly with them on exactly what needs they may have for themselves, for their families, and of course, for businesses as well.
Yeah. Meeting the guests where they are, I think, is a huge point to make there. I did want to ask something very specific to delivery and delivery drivers. Not to say that everything goes perfect every single time. Obviously, we're all readily aware that it doesn't. But should a driver show up, with the correct bags, they look the part, they look well, they show up, they're polite, on time, What else can these drivers do to, set themselves apart in that experience, whether it's at the store or at the customer? Are there things on your end that these drivers could do specifically for your brand to really make sure that experience is, 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10?
Yes, definitely. And the drivers being able to be readily equipped with, hot bags if needed, or those extra tools, being able to ensure that the products handle well through transportation is really important. But I would say the communication piece too, from the time that, they're facilitating the handoff. I think earlier you said kind of a drop and go. We never really want to have to just leave bags outside of somebody's office door or, their home. So asking the guest if they would like their food set up, even if it's box lunches, as simple as setting out those boxes. So that way the guest can just dive right into our food instead of, having to do all of the setup on their end, is a great component for the drivers. And again, just the communication, kill them with kindness, being able to have that smile, engaging with the guest. A lot of the time now, we have shifted over the last few years from where we were doing, I would say probably 90% self-delivery, using our team members, to where we do rely on our partners. So being able to ensure that they're going to give our guests the same PDQ experience that our team members would be able to is very important.
For sure. Yeah. I think transparency, that's a word that gets thrown out a lot on our end. Whether if you are going to be 15 minutes late, don't just show up 15 minutes late. Let someone know, whether it's the store, the customer. Everything's much better when everyone's aware of the situation and ready to go when that food does get on site. So, I can't agree with that anymore. Moving forward in the next, 3, 4, 5 years, obviously, catering is a double-digit billion-dollar business. How invested are you guys in this product? Is this a huge undertaking for your guys' business? Is it just something to drive revenue, or how important is catering for PDQ?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's at the forefront of everything we do. And, obviously Sabrina and I work very closely, not only with our home office team, but also, every single day with all the restaurants in our field team. So, for us, it's really continuing to make it a focus point, and really also understanding that things are evolving just like anything else in the world. So how do we make sure that we stay, everything on board with what's happening in the world, to be able to adjust as needed, and really also look at other opportunities? We know that things continue to change, and with these opportunities, how can we work with different businesses, different organizations, different other groups that are looking for catering? Again, back to what we talked about earlier, what are those things that we need to do to support them and help them? And again, your team does a great job, Ben, in terms of all the work you do. And even for us, like we did a call yesterday with your team just to, again, get feedback. And we think that those conversations are so important, to be able to hear from you, like what you and your teams are hearing, and then share our feedback. And then that's how we can all really work well together as we think about the future. Again, to go back to what we always talk about, the guest experience, right? Making sure that everything we do is focused on the guest and what they need and what they want. If we do that, we know that the future is going to be bright for all of us. And we think we can do a great job and really make a difference for them.
Hell yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I got one more question for you guys. I don't know if this would be a more of a Jeff thing or a Sabrina thing, but I know obviously, as we talk about moving in the future, all these advancements within, self-delivery, you got self-driving cars, you got Chat GPT popping up for marketing and stuff like that. All these, AI solutions. I saw literally just today that Chipotle is like I forget what it was called. Somewhere these avocados are getting peeled and pressed by themselves, stuff like this. Are you guys testing out any further automations, any AI solutions like that on your guys' end, just to see what sticks, what you can implement, and go from there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these are things that we're kind of keeping an eye on. I would say we probably don't want to be the first, but we definitely don't want to be the last either. So I think we're probably in the mindset of watching everything and doing a lot of research. Even from a store level, we've done some testing with things like kiosks and some self-service things as well. And certainly from a standpoint of our app, so we have our My PDQ Points loyalty program, which has been almost 2 years old now. And really from that standpoint, continuing to look at ways, again, we know that guests have different ways they want to do it. And that program has been excellent for guests that maybe don't have time to make a phone call or be able to go in a store and talk to someone. They can now do all the things that they had to do differently in the past, very easily right there at their fingertips. So on their cell phone or on their laptop, they can go on and place orders and find information. So that's a small part of it. I know there's some bigger things like you mentioned that are coming, but for us, it's continuing to make sure that there are things available to make that experience very easy for guests. And yeah, I think we're just as excited as you guys to find out what are the next great things from a technology standpoint and how that will fit into our world at PDQ overall. And of course, in the catering and delivery space.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing up the PDQ app and things like that. I do usually like to close things out. Where can new customers find you, or new people who want to partner with the brand find you? Is it just a website? Would you prefer people navigating through the application on their phones? Or how do you guys usually get these catering deliveries, or just regular pickup and regular per person deliveries?
Sure. Yeah. So our website, of course, is eatpdq.com. And when you go on there, you can navigate. We've got our catering menu and a lot of information about catering. And then to the point about the app and the loyalty program, every order earns you points. So we like to say earn, eat, and repeat. Every time that you place an order, you're going to get the opportunity to earn points, which you can redeem for free food. We do a lot of surprise and delights. Really sneak peeks. Everyone that's in our loyalty program really is the first to hear about everything we're doing. Obviously, connecting through Sabrina or Kelly or through LinkedIn and through our website is great as well. And they do a great job. And in many cases, the opportunity where you want to have a face and someone that you can talk to directly, that's where they do a great job of really communicating and working with the guests on exactly what they need and making their event or their gathering perfect for them.
Awesome. And I guess I just kind of had one quick question. I'm always very jealous, to products that I'm not able to consume myself. So I think, like I said very early on, I think your closest location to us is like Cherry Hill, New Jersey, I believe. And that's like 7-8 hours from me. So do you guys have any plans on the horizon of expansion? How many locations by the end of the year? Any new markets you guys are interested in moving into?
Sure. Yeah. So I can hit on that. So we do have 62 locations in 5 states. The footprint that's the biggest, as you mentioned, is Florida. We've got 47 restaurants in Florida. And then to your point, we've got a few in the Carolinas in both North and South Carolina. And for you guys in the Northeast, we've got 3 in South Jersey, so a little bit further. And then we've got 2 on Long Island as well, so Farmingdale and Westbury. But yeah, we're always looking for great markets. Our next market will actually be down near where Sabrina is in Plantation. So that'll be our next one that'll open later this year. And then, yeah, we'll continue to look at it. Again, it's been a great 12 years, and certainly Florida is a huge part of our brand, but we've also seen great success and really enjoyed meeting so many people outside of Florida as well. And we'll continue to hope to find great locations and great people to work with.
Yeah, I guess you just mentioned 12 years at the end here. It feels like, the brand's probably to you guys been around so long, but realistically in the grand scheme of things, it is, basically a teen, getting into its teenage years now as a business, similar to DeliverThat. I think this 2023 was a decade for us that we've now been around. So yeah, both businesses were now growing up together. So all amazing things. I don't got much more for you guys. Anything you want to bring up on your end? Anything you want to make sure we touch on before we get out of here?
No, I just want to say thank you from our team and just for having us. And we appreciate the partnership. Again, you and the team do an outstanding job, and we're thrilled to work with you and look forward to continuing, like you said, to grow together.
Awesome. Well, Sabrina and Jeff, I greatly appreciate you guys joining me today. I know our viewership will love it as well. The drivers out there, I love, giving them the chance to get to know the people behind the brand so much more. Let them elevate the experience that they have for your restaurants and their guests as well. So always very appreciative when brands like yours join the platform, and we'll see you guys very soon on the road. But thank you both so much.
Thank you.